Montgomery, one of the best in the NFL, will punt. Turner is back. Good rush. Just gets it off with a beautiful high kick. Turner at his own 19. Wilson to 30. Still going. Turner's got some room. He got one man to beat. No flag. Touchdown, Buccaneers. Vernon Turner, an 81-yard return. The first ever punt return for a touchdown in Tampa Bay history.
This is Joe Myers with Staten Island Community Television. I'm here at Curtis High School for the book signing of former pro football player and Curtis High School alumni, Vernon Turner, author of the autobiography, The Next Level, a game I had to play. So let's find out a little bit more from him and take this to the next level.
You know, he was with the Denver Broncos and he fumbled in an exhibition game, and the next day he was released by the Broncos, and I picked him up at the airport a couple days later. I was going to greet him and I was about to hug him and tell him what a great job he did. You know how many guys try out and never get this far? Before he even got a word in, he says, "Don't say a word, it's not over." And that's the kind of kid he was. He didn't want to pat. He didn't want to, you know, there were no moral victories. He says he did not want that. He was just there. He was letting you know, I'm not satisfied yet. I'm going to get there. And a couple weeks later, he was picked up by the Bills, and he went to the Super Bowl in 1990 with the Buffalo Bills when they played the Giants.
And I'm here with Vernon Turner, author of the autobiography, The Next Level, a game I had to play, and a former pro football player and alumni of Curtis High School. So thank you for joining me today, Vernon.
I'm glad to be here.
So I just want to start off with, how does it feel being back at the place where your story began, on this football field at Curtis High School?
I can't describe the feeling. It's so good to be back here. The only thing that's different is that there's no more dirt on the ground.
Yeah.
We've played on dirt and rocks, and to see the field in the condition that it's in right now, unbelievable. Plus, just coming back and seeing my friends and family, it's hard to describe the feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But it's a good feeling, nonetheless.
Unbelievable feeling, yes. Fantastic feeling. Yeah.
What compelled you to start playing football?
Oh my! I say about age 10. I was playing outside in the street with my friends and everything, and at first it was a dare, you know, because I was so small.
Right.
I was extremely small. I had no business playing football. And then the next thing you know, I started liking it. And it just it blossomed. Next thing you know, my idol, Walter Payton. And again, it's just through each year, it just blossomed and it matured. And next thing you know, I want to play at the highest level.
Right.
You know, so. And to this day, I cannot believe I made it.
Right.
I cannot believe it, you know.
You took that challenge and willingly, and you exceeded your highest expectations.
It's a storybook dream, but you know, it was at a price. You know,
Right.
I went through a lot of things from age 5 on up, and it was a tough battle.
Okay.
But
Now, you had said earlier that he barely weighed 100 pounds, ready to play football. So what was your first impression of him walking on the field as small as he was?
Well, you know, when he had those weights in his sweatshirt and he was weighing himself the first time I met him, that was my first year as a coach. You know, I saw weights in there, but I was happy because I said, yes, I got a player. I got somebody that's telling me, don't think I can't play because I'm not very big yet. You know, I'm too small. Don't say that. And that's the way it was.
And how has the community grown since your days at Curtis?
so many things have changed. You know, just the culture, the kids, the way things are. You know, I got to sit back and observe a little bit so I can take it all in and at least blend so I don't get made fun of for being too old. You know, but you know, I enjoy it. It's part of life. First and foremost, my family. I mean, the reason why I made it to the highest level was for my family. I mean, we had to make it. I had to make it. You know, they were about to split my family up. Both my parents passed away. And that was my really driving motivation, is making sure my family stayed together. I had a lot of supporting people in my corner. You know, number one person I could think of right out of the gate is Fred Oliveri. You know, he used to be the coach here at Curtis High School, and we became best friends, / dad / everything. You know, I owe that man pretty much my life, you know. And Coach Bill Thatcher, he was my Pee Wee League football coach, and he was the first one that actually, at one point I quit in Pop Warner Football League, and he didn't let me quit. He chased me down in a park, and he got my butt back on the football field. The alternative, what would have happened, the thought of it is frightening, you know? So just those two out of the gate, and there's just so many other people. I'll be here all day talking about people, but there's been a lot of people in my corner. Well, I tell you, I had no business accomplishing the things that I accomplished according to everyone else. You know, I guess from the time that I hit college, I've already beaten the odds. So everything else was gravy, you know?
Right.
And that's according to everybody else. I never thought of myself as, I never limited myself to anything. You know, I always tried to reach for the stars because I knew the clouds were going to catch me.
Right.
You know, so it was an awesome journey, man, and it's not over. It's not over.
Now, where and how did you get the chance to play college football?
Coach Fred Oliveri.
Yeah.
I mean, he was relentless in regards to making sure I got into school, making sure I went to summer school to graduate high school, making sure that we selected the perfect school for me for 4 years. And he was the driving force in selecting the right school, Carson Newman College in Tennessee. And it was a perfect fit. You know, it really was. I had a productive college career. And, you know, it enabled me to move forward to go to the next level.
Can you explain what your feelings were when you didn't get drafted to the pros after college?
I was pretty much, honestly, it was a major setback because prior to the draft, I felt like I did everything I possibly could to get drafted. I mean, I went from a no-name to when I started running 4.3s for the scouts to where I thought I was a mid-round draft pick.
Right.
And even with Mel Kiper saying it in his magazine, you know, I was a sleeper. I was possibly a mid-round draft pick, so I already had that in my head, you know.
Right.
So for my name not to get called those days, it was a really, really big disappointment. It wasn't until I spoke to Fred Oliveri, and he refocused me. He said, V, you already beaten the odds. He said, let's get after it. Let's go after it. And we got after it, you know. And I guess the rest is history.
Now, how was it growing up with Vernon?
Vernon was always he was always the clown around, you know, in our group, and he was always one of the more focused kids on the athletic field. You know, we play a pickup game of football, and everybody be fooling around, and Vernon would be like, this was his audition for the pros, and I guess for him, you know, that mentality got him there.
It was a bit frustrating because, you know, from day one I was a long shot. And every week, every day, every week, you're always out on a microscope. They're always watching you. You're always trying out all the time. Right. Even when you made the team, you're still trying out.
Right.
You know, so it was a mental burden, mentally stressed. I mean, you're talking about physically exhausted. I was mentally exhausted. And I always had to refocus myself to make sure that, you know, I was at the right frame of mind to go ahead and do battle again and compete again. And again, if it wasn't for guys like even Bob McGee, my assistant football coach, and Fred Oliveri, just keeping me focused, maintaining what the ultimate goal was. And plus, still, I knew that I had a family to support. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters to support. And I was the only, you know, sole supporter for my family. So I knew I had to make it. I had to refocus, you know. I had some driving forces to keep moving.
Well, of course, we're all proud of him, and he helped us along being younger financially. Of course, he wasn't there physically, but he was there spiritually and mentally because he had to do what he had to do.
And how do you feel about the book coming out and everything that he wrote? It's a very personal book with a lot of strong emotions and a lot with his background. Now, how do you feel about that, being one of his family members?
It was tough at the beginning to let everything out like that, and stuff that I didn't even know because I was too small to even remember. So it was kind of shocking, but I'm proud of him and I'm glad he did it.
Making it, going to college, playing 4 years in college, but the ultimate goal, honestly, was just making the football team as a professional athlete. Making a professional football team was my ultimate accomplishment. Now, coming to a close second, sticking it to Coach Wayne Fontes, the Detroit Lions, when I played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was the second most memorable moment for my career.
30, still going. Turner's got some room. He's got one man to beat.
Why is that?
Because it was, I really had a rough time in Detroit. I felt like I wasn't treated right by the organization. And when they let me go, they sent me to a team that was, they let me go, and the team from the same conference, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, picked me up. And I think at the end of that game, October 2nd, 1994, Coach Wayne Fontes realized that he woke up a sleeping giant.
Right?
You know?
Well, you ran back the first punt return in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history.
Yeah, exactly.
Detroit, correct?
Yeah, I tell you what, man, if they ever wrote a movie about my life, they're going to end it, me crossing that end zone that day.
That would definitely be a good picture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It'll just be a storybook dream.
And that's actually one of the covers of your book, right? Or you crossing the end zone.
Absolutely,
right?
that's it. Yeah, absolutely. That had to be one. That was the first edition of my book.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, what advice do you have for the kids growing up in a similar situation as yourself?
Easy, very easy. You take advantage of every opportunity that's given to you, because you're not promised these opportunities. When you get that opportunity, you take full advantage of it. You go 110%, and you do it with your heart.